Hi YouTube. So let's talk about Hollywood. It's the new Netflix original TV show from Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan. Ryan Murphy, most of you probably know, he created Glee, which is a favourite of mine, and also Scream Queens, American Horror Story, the true crime series, which is O.J. Simpson and Versace. And they're all like mixed basically, so like they have a lot of good points, a lot of like very amazing cast and everything, but they have a lot of things that are a bit eh. So Hollywood is the newest one, and the premise is, this is the biography of it. In post-World War II Hollywood, aspiring actors and filmmakers will do almost everything to make their showbiz dreams come true. So it's like a kind of a revisionist history of classic Hollywood. It's about a fictional studio called Ace Studios, which is kind of based on MGM. And the plot is that they decide to make a picture starring a black actress. And this all comes about because there's a young director played by Darren Criss. His name is Raymond Ainsley, and he is half Filipino, much like Darren Criss in real life.
I want to make sure that people like us aren't on the outside looking in anymore.
What do you mean, people like us?
Folks who aren't white.
You ain't white?
Asian. Half. You share me.
And he, even though everyone thinks he's white, he is also an ethnic minority, so he wants to bring to light the stories of ethnic actors and show that he has a line that says basically something like, movies don't just show how the world is, they show how the world could be, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to use his position to help change sort of race relations in America. So I think Hollywood is a very, very interesting concept. It sort of merges together these characters that were created just for the show with traditional classic Hollywood names, such as it has cameos from actors portraying Vivian Leigh, who's one of the most famous actresses of classic Hollywood, Hattie McDaniel, who was the first black woman to ever win an Oscar.
I think I'll ever get used to that.
I could get used to it, I tell you that.
It has a cameo from like Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady in the 40s, or maybe in the 30s, I don't know. Oh. But yeah, and so basically the main characters are all fictional apart from Rock Hudson, who was a real classic Hollywood actor, and there's a whole host of real people. It also features the story of Anna May Wong.
You see, I didn't like the way Asian people were treated during the war in this country. Vilified to boost morale, and being half Asian myself, I resented that.
Who was a Chinese American actress, and she was like the first Chinese actress in Hollywood, and she auditioned for a character who would have been a Chinese character set in one of these like old Oriental films. I can't remember the name of it, but she was actually not cast in this film, and they gave the cast to a white woman who then did yellowface and like pretended to be Asian. So that was a really sad moment of Hollywood history, and that's something they touched on in the TV show. Basically righted in the TV show a lot of the wrongs of classic Hollywood. So there's a lot of things I really like about Hollywood. When I was looking up reviews of it before I watched it, it had very mixed reviews. The main sentiment of a lot of reviewers was it was a very interesting concept and a very worthwhile story, and it was kind of like a fairy tale.
Worldwide release, and audiences are flocking to see the harrowing story of a girl who lands in Tinseltown and hits the skids.
Hey, look at you. It's me.
The biggest smash hit of the decade stars, guess who? Camille Washington. She's an overnight sensation, but she's not playing a housekeeper. She's would-be movie maven Meg Ennis.
Maybe the execution wasn't quite on par with the really genius concept, and I would say I have to more or less agree with that. There was a lot of things I really loved about this show, and there were some things I really wished they touched on more, and then there were some things I just didn't like at all. So some of the things I really loved was, in this time period of classic Hollywood, the movie industry was like completely a business. There wasn't in the American film world really a concept of films being like art. Films were a money-making thing. They were a business. They were like modelling basically. whereas in Europe, like, films were kind of saying something, but in America that idea of like films being an art form and films being used to kind of say something didn't really come about until I think around the 60s, when they started with sci-fi, and all of this sort of sci-fi films in America, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and such, were like anti-communist or making some sort of statement, whereas in classic Hollywood in like the 30s, 40s, from basically the 20s till like end of the 40s, they were more like beautiful, artistic, everything. So I thought that was really cool that they brought this idea of like a movie making a statement forward a bit in history.
B-movie maven Meg Ennis. Racial protests across the country simply melted away as thousands rushed out to see a new kind of motion picture, and moviegoers of every color have fallen in love.
Every woman I know who saw it cried. We understood how she was feeling.
Could one movie change the way a nation sees itself? Who knows? But one thing's for sure, America's mad for...
Another thing I loved was the styling. I really felt like it was very realistic. Like the hair, the costumes, and the sets were absolutely beautiful. Like, so when I was in uni, I did, I don't know, like a unit on film noir and a unit on classic Hollywood. So I watched so many of these classic Hollywood films, and they got it really accurate. And what I also really liked was one of the really popular plots for classic Hollywood films, such as like Singing in the Rain and All About Eve, was this idea of like the transition from silent film era to the talkies, and how these great actresses were kind of jaded and they were lost in the transition.
To be tossed into the trash bin, lost.
So classic Hollywood films in the period of the 40s and maybe the 30s, I don't know, like Singing in the Rain, films like this, they were often actually about Hollywood, and they had the sort of film within a film. So this TV show, it was very meta, because not only is it a film about Hollywood, but the actual fact that it is a TV show about Hollywood is, like, that itself is also an homage to classic Hollywood. In today's media, we don't have so many pieces of media about the current day film industry, and that actually got me thinking that would be something I would really like to see, like a movie or a film about modern day Hollywood in the sort of similar style that they used to have, and I thought they did it really well here.
Archie? What the heck are you doing here? Jack, they're making my fiction. You gotta be shitting me, that's incredible. Yeah, this is Raymond Ansley. He's the director. Raymond, Jack Costello.
Mr. Ainsley, it's a real pleasure to meet you, sir. I just got put on a contract.
Lying son of a bitch.
No fooling, I can hardly believe it myself.
The premise of Raymond Ainsley, this half Asian director, no one knows he's half Asian, and he wants to be able to use his privilege to help other actors who are not white or not in the mainstream accepted like Hollywood world. He wants to basically change history using his position, but also it's very personal to him. But they kind of started with this really interesting idea, but they kind of like let it fall away by the end of the series. Like, so this is a spoiler, I'll put like a cut thing here. So when they're all winning their awards and the Oscars in the end, so Archie and Camille and Anime, they cut to their families reacting to them winning. And what I thought would have made sense was if they also cut to the family of Raymond winning and saw like his mixed race parents, or maybe he grew up in a single parent household or something, and he could have, you know, they didn't even show his acceptance speech, which I thought was like not so great, because he's the director, he's one of the main characters. They showed all the other acceptance speeches, but they didn't show his. I didn't really understand why. And they could have had in his acceptance speech be him sort of coming out, I don't know a better word for that, as an Asian American person, and this would have been a really great parallel for like Darren Criss in real life when he won the Emmy for his portrayal in the assassination of Versace. He was the first ever Asian American or actor of like Asian descent to win Emmy for Best Actor, and like he thanked his mother and like talked about his heritage when he won the awards, and like they could have done that parallel when the character Raymond won for Best Director, but I still thought it was a very interesting idea.
Raymond Ainsley, Meg. And the Academy Award goes to...
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff I really liked about it, and honestly, like, it's a very positive TV show.
Well, okay. Terrific. Well, after you, Mr. Ainsley.
Kindly this guest.
Archie, it's so great to see you. Wow, the three of us together, huh?
The character of Camille was just, she was really incredible. The actress, like, she had such poise and regality, and she was just really amazing. I thought just everything about her, 10 out of 10. Like, she was one, like, I have my list of I don't know if you can see like all the good things I like about Hollywood, and the first one is just Camille, full stop. Like, she was great.
No one actually speaks this way naturally, but it takes on some British inflections that add some refinement to the otherwise flat and grating American dialect. You ladies would do very well to speak in this dialect at all times. Do you concur, Camille?
Concur, I do, Miss Kincaid.
Oh, okay, so I'll talk about the things I didn't like in Hollywood. I don't know why we needed to spend half of the film focusing on a male prostitution ring. I thought it was very bizarre, like it didn't really fit together for me. I just thought it was kind of, one, irrelevant to the story. It didn't move it along. I would have preferred to focus more on these very interesting characters they created, and it's just, I don't understand like what they were going for with it, because it just kind of made it kind of cheapened the whole show, and I didn't really see what was the point in having this prostitution ring, and also it kind of made light of it, like it should be so, like, I don't know, lightly peppered into this very interesting TV show otherwise. I also really didn't like how Patti LuPone's character of Avis Amberg, how she talks about, so, oh my god, Ryan Murphy, I'm just gonna blame Ryan Murphy.
I know Ian Brennan is also to blame here, but Ryan Murphy is the scapegoat.
So it always bothered me in Glee how it was like the biggest difficult thing about being Jewish with Rachel and everything was like a nose. It's not all about the nose. There's so much more to anti-Semitism than forgetting how you look. And the way Patti LuPone's character talks about, she was like, I was a big star of silent movies until they decided I was too ethnic looking. And I'm like, are you forgetting that there was like a Holocaust at the same time that this was going on? Like, why are they not talking? It was more difficult to be Jewish than just like, you look Jewish. It was also people in this time period, like her, like Avis's ancestors or probably relatives would have been killed, like there was so much, it was so difficult. Like, the problems they had then were not the problems we have today. Problems we have today, I'm sure, for a lot of American actors, I don't even know if it's true, honestly. Like, this is also something that bothers me in Ryan Murphy stuff. Like in Glee, okay, the actress for Rachel is, her father's Jewish. The actress for Quinn is also Jewish, like, and it's like they think that you can only be Jewish if you have this stereotypical Ashkenazi look, and like Jewish people come in all shapes and sizes, and they can be completely white looking, they can be brown, black, like Jews can look like whatever, and they're not just like Patti LuPone, Barbra Streisand, Lea Michele is not the only thing that a Jewish person can look like, and it's just annoying. It just always annoys me. I was even looking at the cast, like, and the actor that plays Jack, the main, like one of the main characters, he's also Jewish. Like, it's not just about looks, and it just bothers me. This whole thing with the character of Avis, like, that this was the only difficult thing about Judaism or Jewishness. I wouldn't even call it Judaism because there was no Judaism in this TV show whatsoever, was the way she looked. I don't like this whole thing that Ryan Murphy also often does. Racism and homophobia have completely different histories and completely different, like, they're just different things. Like, you can tell a story about racism and you can tell a story about homophobia, but they don't equal each other. And it always seems to be that, like, in TV shows such as Glee and Hollywood and whatever, like, yeah, as a white gay man, I'm also oppressed like you, a black woman. And I'm like, it's kind of different, no? I don't know, it just kind of bothers me. I wish this would stop. What was so great about Hollywood was kind of overshadowed by plot points like the prostitution ring, and I wish they would have just focused on the characters of Raymond. They could have focused more on Anime Wong.
Thought that it'll be in the cinema soon? Me? Up there on the silver screen? Well, I just had to read the script again.
I'm gonna stop you. Remember, she's been drinking. She's loose.
I thought you told me not to play it like that.
Yes, but I mean, she's roiling with anxiety.
But overall, it's a really good show. If you're a fan of classic Hollywood like me, or especially to anyone that's been a film student and has had to sit through like 100 films from the 20s to the 40s, you'll love it. And yeah, I recommend it. I thought it was fun, the styling was beautiful, the music was amazing, and I loved like the clips of the actual films. Like the way they shot them, it really looked like a classic Hollywood film, and it was just beautiful homage to Hollywood and a really nice modern sort of fairy tale almost of like what could be and like the power of the film industry.
Washington, and I play Meg Ennis. I am Anime Wong. Thank you. I also never believed I would be sitting at one of these tables again. I am very happy to be playing the role of Carolyn.
And I'm Archie Coleman, screenwriter.
And the power it has to change the way people think, and I just thought it was very inspiring, and it's kind of both an homage and also a reminder to modern day filmmakers that they do have power to change the sort of this face of cinema and to change the way that people look at different groups in the world, like different ethnic groups or people are facing today, and oppression is still something people face every day. And I think Hollywood was a nice reminder to modern day filmmakers that they could be choosing to make new and exciting stories, or they could be choosing to make the same old boring rom-coms. But overall, it's a very cute TV show, and it had a lot of potential. I think it did get a bit lost at points, but yeah, I would love to hear in the comments like if you watched Hollywood, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you like agree or disagree with anything, and maybe I'll make more of these kind of review videos if you guys like it. They're a bit more in-depth. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, hope you have a great week ahead of you and staying safe and sane. I know here in Israel, thank God, regulations about corona and everything finally lifting a bit, and I hope the rest of the world follows suit soon and like things keep going down. But if you enjoyed, please let me know what you would like to see next. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that. And yeah, have a really fantastic week. And you can find me on Instagram and Letterboxd at Rachel with a 2 before the C. And yeah, that's it. Hope to see you soon.